members wishing to do so have voted or abstained, the Chair will declare the vote closed and begin with
Iraq.
The first country beginning
Iraq,
with
no.
I, which is
Iraq, no.
Indonesia.
Israel.
Yes.
Israel, yes. Italy. Indonesia, no.
Abstention.
Italy, abstention. Japan.
Abstention.
Japan, abstention. Kenya.
Kenya, abstention.
Kenya, abstention.
Any further? Are there any questions relating to the conduct of the vote?
We remain opposed to the Israeli proposal, which requests the DG report on the item entitled Health Conditions in the Occupied Palestinian Territories, including East Jerusalem, and in the occupied Syrian Golan, be presented under a sub-item dealing with health emergencies within countries in Committee A, instead of presenting it under Agenda Item 18 in Committee B, where it should be discussed as a standalone item related to a case of foreign occupation with specific legal obligations on the occupying power. Such proposals may appear procedural at a first glance, but they aim in substance and timing to legitimize the Israeli occupation, which continues to violate relevant UN and WHA resolutions. It is no coincidence that the Israeli letter to the DG avoids mentioning the name of the title of the item, for since its occupation of Palestinian territory and the Syrian Golan in 1967, Israel has not stopped its attempts to perpetuate this occupation and force its unlawful unilateral decisions to impose its administrative and legal jurisdiction on East Jerusalem and on the Syrian Golan, in violation of relevant UN resolutions. The Israeli occupation authorities refuse to allow WHO to carry out its mandate under WHA decisions by sending field missions to independently assess health conditions of the Syrian citizens in the occupied Golan, and has tried in the past to mislead WHO by presenting the data and statistics related to the occupied Syrian Golan as part of the Israeli data and statistics. I affirm the importance of the organization to implement WHA decisions without any conditions by the occupying power. Mr. President, contrary to Israeli allegations, this agenda item and related WHA decision is of purely technical nature. It is based on WHO mandate and its constitution, which affirms that, and I quote, "the health of all peoples is essential to achieving peace and security," end of quote. It calls for the organization to carry out its mandate through field missions to assess health conditions of population and their enjoyment of the right to health in territories occupied by Israel, to clarify obstacles that impede their access to health care, including obstacles resulting from restrictions on movement, and to monitor the impact of the long occupation and its violations on the mental, physical, and environmental health, as well as on the development of a sustainable health systems in the occupied territories. Last Sunday, February 2nd, the population of the occupied Syrian Golan declared a general strike, rejecting the decision of the Israeli occupation authorities to establish on their agricultural lands wind turbine farms to generate electricity. Assessment of the physical and environmental health damage arising from this irresponsible decision by the occupying power should be an integral part of any WHA assessment missions. Finally, Mr. President, I regret that supporting terrorists in Syria is presented in this forum as under a false humanitarian pretext. Having said that, Mr. President, I renew our rejection of the Israeli proposal, and in light of the procedural violations that it presents and the political goals it aims at, we call on EB members to reject it. Thank you, Mr. President.